Ever get that feeling? Like you're just creatively stuck. You know, you've got ideas in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
But they just won't come out.
I know exactly what you mean.
It's like a universal thing, right? It's like writer's block or staring at an empty canvas.
Totally.
We all want to create something original.
Something unique. Yeah.
Something that really breaks the mold.
Absolutely.
But getting there.
That's the tricky part.
That's the real question, isn't it? So what if I told you?
What if you told me?
That the secret to unlocking that creative genius might actually be copying.
Copying, huh? That sounds
I know, right?
a little counterintuitive.
And the opposite of what we always hear.
Yeah, we're always told to think outside the box.
Be unique. Be original.
Right. It's like creativity means coming up with something totally new.
Exactly. But there's this book,
Oh.
The Power of Creativity, a detailed exploration through methodical copying.
Interesting title.
It actually argues that copying done the right way can be like a pathway
A pathway
to
to...
real originality. And get this,
What's that?
it's co-authored by a human and an AI.
Wow. Now that is a unique combination.
Right. So we have Meng Fu Chu.
I have heard that name.
He's done it all. Design, urban planning, even the metaverse.
A true Renaissance person.
And then you've got Hamamoto Satoshi, the AI co-author,
That's interesting.
described as having the wisdom of Einstein, the eloquence of Socrates,
Wow.
and the creativity of Picasso all in one.
That's quite the resume,
Talk about a dynamic duo.
I'll say.
And you know what I really liked about the book?
What's that?
It just starts with the fact that we all imitate it first.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like kids learning to draw.
They copy their favorite characters.
Exactly. But this book takes that idea and shows how to make it something way more.
It's sophisticated.
Yeah.
So they take us beyond the simple imitation.
They break it down into 3 levels of copying.
3 levels.
The first one they call direct
A
copying.
big direct copy.
It's about really meticulously replicating the work of a master, not to fake it,
Not to forge it.
but to understand like the mechanics,
Yeah, the techniques.
the principles that make the original work.
So effective.
Exactly.
So it's about learning by doing.
Yeah, it's like they say.
Like they say.
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
But it's also a great way to learn.
Right. It's a phenomenal learning tool.
Absolutely.
And they use this great example
Oh,
of trying to draw Batman's face.
okay. Drawing Batman.
And it's not just tracing the outline.
Right.
It's about really observing how the artist uses shading to create depth,
Huh.
how the lines vary in thickness,
I see.
the subtle angles that give the face its character,
Like you're deconstructing a masterpiece.
to understand its DNA.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it.
I tried this myself
You did.
with a photo I loved.
What happened?
I thought, oh, this will be easy.
Uh-oh.
But wow, it was humbling.
What did you learn?
I realized how much intention goes into every brush stroke
Yeah.
or every choice a photographer makes with composition,
Right.
with the light and shadow.
It's all intentional.
Yeah,
So direct copying makes you slow down
definitely.
to analyze, to internalize the skill.
You really start to see it differently.
It's more than just seeing a work of art.
It's about understanding the choices the artist made,
The tools they used.
even their mindset.
Like that.
It's about appreciating the craft, but also
Honing your own skill.
through that close observation.
I like it.
But we don't want to just be copying forever.
Right. That's true.
So where do we go from there?
Well, that's where the second level comes in.
Level 2.
Copying structure.
Copying structure. Okay.
This is where you go beyond just the surface details.
I see.
And you start to analyze like the framework
The core principle.
that define a style or a genre.
Interesting.
And they use Cubism as an example.
Cubism.
And I know some people might be thinking,
Yeah.
Cubism, what does that have to do with
My photography or?
my writing, my music?
Right. But stick with us on this one.
It gets really interesting.
Okay, I'm curious. So Cubism was this revolutionary art movement,
When was this?
early 20th century.
Okay, early 1900s.
And artists like Picasso were like breaking all the rules
Breaking the rules.
of traditional art.
They weren't trying to depict things realistically.
No, instead of trying to make things look real, they were fragmenting forms,
Fragmented.
using multiple perspectives,
Interesting.
and incorporating geometric shapes
Geometric shapes?
to convey a deeper
More abstract.
sense of reality.
So they were saying, hey,
There's more than one way.
to see the world.
Exactly.
I like that.
And the book breaks down these key elements of Cubism,
Key elements are.
that bold use of color,
Uh-huh.
the fragmented forms, the way they break things down and then put them back together.
Like a puzzle.
Yeah, in this new, almost disorienting way
So it's about understanding those core principles.
that made up the movement.
Okay, I'm starting to see it.
So instead of copying like a specific Picasso painting,
Right.
You try to make your own composition using those Cubist principles.
I got it.
And this is where it gets exciting.
Okay, tell me more.
The book argues that by learning the rules of a style,
Or genre.
you gain the freedom to break free from them.
Interesting.
You understand the foundation so well.
That you can actually innovate.
Create something truly unique.
Huh.
It's like mastering the scales before you can improvise jazz.
Or learning to code before you can make a groundbreaking app.
Exactly. It's that deep understanding that allows you to push those boundaries.
And create something really original.
Yeah, so it's about
mastering the foundation.
before you can really... Okay, so I'm starting to see where this is going.
Me too. But
how do we go from copying structure?
yeah, how do we get to...
Creating something truly original?
That's the big question, isn't it?
That's where things get really interesting.
And this is where we get to the most profound level, copying deep structure.
Deep structure.
And this is where the book gets into some
Pretty heady stuff.
philosophical territory, yeah.
Okay, color me intrigued.
But maybe a little intimidated.
A little bit, yeah, deep structure sounds intense.
It is, but it's also fascinating.
So what does it actually mean?
Okay, so think of it this way.
Okay.
If direct copying is about mastering the how,
The how, okay.
and copying structure is about understanding the what,
Uh-huh.
then copying deep structure is about getting to the why.
The why.
It's about uncovering the underlying philosophy, the motivations, the context,
The context, like the...
the historical, the cultural context.
Okay, we're starting to get a glimmer.
Yeah.
But can you give me a concrete example?
Sure, let's go back to Cubism.
Okay, back to Cubism.
Copying deep structure with Cubism wouldn't just be about understanding those elements.
Right.
It'd be about asking, why did the Cubists choose to break apart objects? Why did they depict them from all these multiple angles?
Yeah.
What were they trying to say about the way we see things?
Yeah.
About the changing world around them?
So it's about really getting into their heads,
Yes.
understanding their intentions.
Their motivations, yeah.
What were they pushing against?
What were their limitations? Exactly.
Once we understand those deeper motivations
Then you can start to apply those same principles.
to our own creative work.
To your own process, yeah.
So maybe I'm a musician trying to break free from traditional song structures.
Or a writer experimenting with nonlinear storytelling.
By understanding the why behind those innovative approaches.
You can find new ways to express your own unique voice.
So it's about finding inspiration in the motivations of those who came before us.
But then using that inspiration to forge your own path.
I like that. And this is where the book really blew my mind.
Oh, tell me.
It connects this idea of copying deep structure to Eastern philosophy.
Eastern philosophy.
Yeah, concepts like nothingness and samadhi.
Okay, wait, hold on. We went from Cubism to Eastern philosophy.
I know, right?
How did we get here?
It's all connected, trust me.
Okay.
The book draws a parallel between the process of emptying the mind
Emptying the mind. Okay.
to achieve a state of nothingness, which is a big idea.
In Taoism.
Yeah.
And the idea of reaching samadhi in yoga.
Samadhi.
That state of pure awareness and focus.
So we're talking about quieting the mind?
Letting go of preconceptions.
Distraction.
Being present in the moment.
Exactly. And the book suggests that this state of nothingness
This mental stillness.
is actually the source
Some wellspring.
of true originality.
That's pretty powerful.
It is, but it's also a little intimidating.
Yeah.
I mean, most of us aren't Zen masters.
Right. We're not all meditating in caves.
So how do we cultivate that emptiness in our everyday lives?
It's a practice.
A practice.
It's not a destination.
Okay.
The book does offer some practical advice.
Like what?
Even simple things, like spending time in nature,
Okay.
going for a walk without your phone,
Without my phone. Oh, no.
or just taking a few deep breaths before you start a creative project.
To clear the mind.
Create space for new ideas.
So it's about creating those little pockets of stillness
Those moments of pause. Yeah.
where we disconnect from the noise and reconnect with that inner creative source.
Exactly. And what's so fascinating
What?
is that the book doesn't make this sound mystical or esoteric. It connects it back to the practice of copying.
Okay, so how does copying, even at this deep level, lead to that nothingness?
It's the mental discipline.
The mental discipline.
When you're really engaged in deep copying, you're not just mimicking.
Right.
You're actively analyzing, questioning, internalizing.
You're emptying your mind
of preconceived notions.
and fully immersing yourself.
The work, yeah.
So it's almost like a form of meditation.
It is. You're so focused.
But you lose track of time.
Your ego dissolves.
And you enter that flow state.
Where creativity can flourish.
Yeah, and as you develop that ability to quiet the mind.
To really observe.
You start to see connections
That you might have missed before.
You understand the why behind the what.
And that's where true originality starts.
Okay, I'm with you, but I have a question. The book focuses a lot on visual art.
It does.
How does this idea of copying deep structure apply to other creative fields?
That's a great question. And the book addresses that.
It does, okay.
It gives examples of how this approach can be used in culinary arts, architecture, fashion design.
Oh, wow. So it's not just for visual artists.
Not at all. Music writing, any field where creativity is involved.
Okay, my mind is ready to be blown again.
Let's start with culinary arts.
Okay, culinary arts. I can see how mastering basic techniques is important.
Like knife skills or sauce making.
Yeah, but how does copying deep structure lead to a truly unique dish?
It's about understanding the why behind the what of a cuisine.
Okay.
Let's say you're studying Italian cuisine.
Okay, Italian food.
It's not just about copying a pasta dish.
Right.
It's about understanding the history, the geography, the culture that shaped those flavors.
The deeper story behind the food.
Exactly. You're not just following a recipe.
You're understanding the why.
And once you grasp that deeper structure,
Then you can experiment.
and innovate,
So you might take those classic Italian flavors
but use local ingredients,
or find a modern way to present them,
you become a culinary storyteller.
weaving together tradition and innovation.
I love that.
Okay, what about architecture?
Architecture. Sure.
That's so focused on functionality, practicality.
Every architectural style has a deep structure,
A deep structure.
a set of principles that guide its form and function.
Okay.
Think about Gothic architecture.
Those massive cathedrals.
Yes, soaring arches, pointed spires, intricate stained glass.
They're breathtaking, but they were built centuries ago.
I know, but it's not about copying those elements literally.
Okay.
It's about understanding why those design choices were made.
Hmm.
What were those architects trying to achieve?
Yeah.
What were their limitations?
I see.
What did those elements symbolize?
So a modern architect might study Gothic cathedrals
To understand how to create spaces that inspire awe
and then apply those principles to a modern building
using new materials, new technologies.
to create a similar emotional impact.
Exactly. They might design a skyscraper that uses light and shadow in a new way.
Or a concert hall with acoustics inspired by those soaring vaults.
They're not copying the form.
They're capturing the essence.
Carrying that spirit into the 21st century.
Okay, I love that. And the same approach could apply to...
Any creative field.
Okay, last example, fashion design.
Fashion. Okay.
This one's hard for me to wrap my head around.
How so?
Fashion seems so focused on trends.
On what's new, what's hot.
Yeah. How does copying deep structure fit in?
Even trends have roots.
Roots. Okay.
Think about the little black dress.
A classic.
It has a history, a deep structure.
I guess so.
Coco Chanel popularized it in the 1920s
Yeah.
as a symbol of simplicity and elegance.
And a rebellion against the fashion of the time.
Exactly. So a modern fashion designer wouldn't just create another black dress.
They dig deeper.
They'd ask, what was Chanel trying to achieve?
What made it so revolutionary?
What makes the little black dress timeless?
And then they'd use that knowledge
To create a new design.
reinterpreted for today.
Maybe with new fabrics, new silhouettes.
A modern edge.
They're honoring the history but pushing it forward.
Not just following trends, but creating them.
Exactly.
Okay, my mind is officially blown.
Good.
This deep structure thing is powerful.
It is. It's like a secret code.
That unlocks a whole new level of creativity.
And the best part is it applies to any field.
It's not just for artists.
Musicians, writers, filmmakers, entrepreneurs.
It's about seeing the world differently,
Finding inspiration in unexpected places.
making connections we never thought possible.
And that's what's so powerful about this approach.
It's a mindset shift.
It's about embracing the idea that originality,
Isn't about rejecting the past
but about understanding it
and using that knowledge as a springboard.
for something new.
So if we master these 3 levels of copying,
Direct structure and deep structure.
and then we combine that with cultivating mental stillness
We're creating the ideal conditions.
for real creativity to blossom.
But it's not just about the techniques.
It's about the philosophy
It's about embracing the journey.
of experimentation and discovery,
Finding that balance between tradition and innovation.
structure and freedom.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm inspired, but I still have one big question.
What's that?
If true originality comes from this nothingness,
Yes.
where do we go from there?
Where do we go from there?
What's the end goal of this creative journey?
That's the paradox, isn't
It
it?
is
We start by copying.
learning from the masters.
Well, where does it all lead?
Is there even an end point to creativity?
The book has an interesting take on that.
Oh.
It suggests that the endpoint isn't about reaching some final destination.
Not about creating that one perfect masterpiece.
No, it's not about planting your flag on the mountaintop.
So it's more about the journey itself.
And the constant evolution,
The ongoing process.
of becoming.
I like that.
Like a river flowing to the ocean.
A river.
The river's always changing,
Adapting.
picking up new things along the way.
But it's always heading towards that vast ocean.
Exactly.
So our creative journey is like that river.
Always in motion.
Always evolving.
Seeking that ultimate expression.
Of our unique voice.
And just as the river enriches the ocean, our individual creativity contributes to this larger tapestry.
This tapestry
of human creativity.
So maybe the end point isn't really an end point at all.
Maybe it's a process.
It's of contributing to something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. We're all part of this interconnected web.
And our individual journeys
Well, unique.
ultimately flow into this collective ocean.
Of expression.
I like that it takes the pressure off.
It does.
It's not about achieving some grand goal.
It's about finding the joy.
In the process of creating.
Of learning and growing.
And sharing our own perspective with the world.
And maybe that's the ultimate originality.
To embrace our own journey.
Imperfections and all.
And trust that it will lead us where we need to be.
I love that.
We've covered a lot today.
We have.
From the practical stuff.
To the philosophy.
Is there one key takeaway you hope people will remember?
I'd say, don't be afraid to copy.
Don't be afraid to copy.
Use it as a tool to learn.
To study the masters.
And absorb their brilliance.
But don't stop there.
Go deeper.
Uncover the why.
Explore that deep structure, the philosophy, the motivations.
And cultivate that inner stillness.
That nothingness.
Where true originality can emerge.
It's a journey, not a destination.
But a journey worth taking.
I agree.
So to everyone listening, pick up the power of creativity.
It'll make you think.
It might just change how you see your own creative potential.
I think so.
And remember, the world is waiting to see what you create.
Don't hold back.
Until next time, keep those creative sparks flying.
Keep creating.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.
It's been a pleasure.